Good afternoon. Today I'm going to be reviewing the Pagani Design PD-1727 V2. This watch is available from paganidesign.cn for $100 US. So firstly, let's look at the box that the watch comes in, and then I'll talk you through the other items one gets with the piece. So the watch comes in this metallic blue cardboard watch box. I understand that watches that are shipped from their German warehouse come in this EU blue watch box versus the standard matte black Pagani Design watch boxes, which are used for watches shipped directly from China. So one removes the lid, and inside there's a foam protective panel, and the watch sits on a piece of foam inside a foam cutout panel in the base, as one would expect. So although basic, it does suffice in protecting the watch in shipping from any damage, and I think it's perfectly acceptable to use this basic style of cardboard watch box, bearing in mind it's a low tier price point piece at only $100 US. With the watch, one gets this owner's instruction manual. Although basic, it does suffice in detailing the operation of the movement use, which is the Seiko VK63 Mecha Quartz. Clear, concise diagrams, and the instructions are in English. This is the plastic guarantee card that comes to the watch. As usual, the reverse isn't filled in. However, I'm pleased to report the watch is covered by the usual 12-month international guarantee. This is the plastic tag that comes to the watch. One also gets this 1.6mm flat head screwdriver for resizing the screw pins in the bracelet. And lastly, one also gets this Pagani Design branded microfiber polishing cloth. I always think it's a nice touch to get a branded microfiber polishing cloth, irrespective of the price point of the piece. So, with regards to the specifications of the piece, this is the Pagani Design PD-1727 V2. The 1727 is also available with other dial colour options, green, pink and Tiffany blue respectively, and also white as you're looking at here. The white dial version is available with a V1 or V2 version. This is the V2. So the V1 has black pushers and a black screw down crown. And when I saw the design of the V1, I suggested to Pagani Design that they also make a silver pusher and silver crown version. They agreed to do this, which is what you're looking at here, and they've called this version the V2. So with regards to the dimensions, we have a 40mm case diameter, we have a 48mm lug to lug measurement, a thickness of 12mm and a lug width of 20mm. The oyster style bracelet tapers from 20mm at the lugs down to 16mm at the flip lock clasp. The flip lock clasp is signed to a high standard with Pagani Design engraved. Flawless mirror polishing to the centre section of the body, which contrasts very well with the brushed satin finish to the outer sections. Flawless mirror polishing to the flanks. No sharp edges, no burrs, very well executed. We have a flat sapphire crystal. Now the negative of the flat sapphire crystal is there is no AR coating on the underside. And as I tilt the piece at an oblique angle, you can see there is a lot of glare and highly reflective nature from the silver applied indices and also the anodized hands. Now, if you look at the piece straight on, the hands look like they're matte black, but they're actually silver and anodized black. And I really like that characteristic because the black anodized hands contrast very well with the matte white dial. The applied indices are actually silver, and they look very similar to the 1664 and 1644 applied indices. But however, the legibility is outstanding because we have the black anodized hands, and also on the subdials we have black anodized hands, and I really like the contrast of the black hands against the matte white dial. Date complication in the usual position between the 3 and 4 o'clock applied indices. White date wheel with black Arabic numerals is clearly legible, so the layout of the dial is very similar to the 1664 and 1644, which are also Daytona Homages, but I prefer this white dial version in the V2 because of the black hands on the subdials and the anodized black hands on the hour, minute and second hand, so the legibility is superior to the white dial version of the 1644, which I've previously owned. With regards to the bezel, it's stainless steel, and they've done an excellent job of engraving the tachymeter scale. The Arabic numerals are clearly legible and they're infilled with black paint to a very high standard. Flawless mirror polishing to the 316L grade stainless steel bezel. Now, I've previously owned the white dial version of the 1644 with the ceramic bezel, and I actually think this is better executed. I think the silver stainless steel bezel with the mirror polishing is better looking, and I think it does an excellent job of being an homage to the Daytona. Absolutely gorgeous mirror polishing, and the contrast of the black infilling to the engraved Arabic numerals is just excellent. The tachymeter scale is clearly legible, and it really does look very good. So the flat sapphire crystal, although it doesn't have AR coating, is very aesthetically pleasing because we've got a nice bevel to the edge of the crystal which catches the light, so absolutely gorgeous to look at. Right, so let's test the screw down crown execution. We have a solid 316L grade stainless steel crown which is coin edge finished and embossed with the Pagani design emblem, which is mirror polished with a matte bead blasted effect to the background. Very well finished. Let's test the action. Absolutely silky smooth. This is one of the best Pagani design screw down crowns I've experienced. Credit where credit's due. It's something that Pagani design do very well. They do have some QC issues, but one thing they consistently get correct is the quality control of the screw down crowns. They are excellent. This screw down crown provides an effective hermetic seal to 100 meters, which is perfectly acceptable for a chronograph. So pulling it out to the first click position is the quick set complication, and if you look closely at the date window, you can see the quick set complication works very well. Nice positive click, and it's something I really like about the Seiko VK63 Mecha Quartz. The date complication has a nice positive click. Each day of the month clicks over. Pulling it out to the second click position is the time setting position. Very light resistance to the gearing in the Mecha Quartz. Absolute pleasure to set the time. No backplay in it whatsoever, both clockwise and anti-clockwise. And I really like it. It also has hacking. If you look at the subdial at 6 o'clock, you can see the second hand has now stopped ticking. Pushing it back in restarts the movement, and you can see the second hand begins to tick again on the 6 o'clock subdial. So let's test screwing it back down. Immediate thread pickup. This is outstanding screw down crown execution. It feels silky smooth, and one can feel the friction of the O-ring inside the crown and the second O-ring inside the crown tube, providing the hermetic seal. So it works very well. Fantastic. This is one of the best screw down crowns I've experienced on a Pagani design watch. So let's test the chronograph complications. We have two screw down pushers, solid 316L grade stainless steel, coin edge finish to the screw down pushers. I'm going to test unscrewing them. Again, absolutely silky smooth. These are very well executed screw down pushers. I've previously reviewed a Rolex Daytona, and I can tell you that there's no discernible difference in the action of the screw down pushers on this Pagani design PD-1727 and on the Rolex Daytona. These screw down pushers feel very similar to a Rolex Daytona. They've got that very smooth feeling to the threading. I really like it. So pushing the top pusher activates the chronograph complication, and you'll see the chronograph hand begins to sweep around the dial. Pressing the top pusher again stops the chronograph complication. Nice positive resistance. I like the firm resistance to the pusher. Feels good, solid, spring-loaded action to it. Pushing the lower pusher will make the chronograph hand fly back to the 12 o'clock index and reset. As you can see, it's reset perfectly. So let's test screwing them back down. Immediate thread pickup. Perfect. Really good screw down pusher execution. Absolutely silky smooth. Absolute pleasure to screw down the pushers. They really do feel very similar to the Rolex Daytona screw down pushers. So credit where credit's due. It's something that Pagani design do very well, and flawless mirror polishing to the caps to the pushers, as you can see. So absolutely gorgeous. Now, one thing I really like about this 1727 is it has a new case back, which is different to the 1664 and the 1644. On the 1664, it has a starfish engraved, which is completely irrelevant for an homage to the Daytona. The starfish really doesn't make any sense because it's a chronograph rather than being a dive watch, and really the starfish is associated with dive pieces. Now on the 1644, they engraved the Pagani design emblem, which I think is an improvement, and I actually like that. This 1727 has a sterile centre section to the case back, and as you can see, it's clearly been machined by a CNC lathe, because we have that characteristic lathe tool machining, which gives it a nice satin concentric finishing to the centre section. So it looks more similar to a Rolex Daytona or Tudor Black Bay chronograph screw down case back, because we have that concentric sterile centre section. Contrasts very well with the mirror polishing to the circumference, which is engraved to a high standard with the specification, and it's just flawless mirror polishing, nice milled slots. Now, there is an error on the Caseback. If you look, it says diver 100 meters. This isn't a dive watch, it's a chronograph. It would have made more sense if they simply put water resistant 100 meters. Putting diver 100 meters on a chronograph really doesn't make sense, but however, one has to expect these kind of errors on a Pagani design. The engraving is done to a good standard, the quality of the finishing to the Caseback is very good, and the screw down Caseback provides an effective hermetic seal to 100 meters. The solid end links are a good tight fit to the case and very well finished, and the underside to the case, which is machined brass satin finished, is done to a very high standard. No sharp edges, no burrs. Right, so I'll give you a wrist shot and you can see how it fits on my 8-inch wrist. Now, I haven't sized the bracelet. I've simply taken the watch out of the watch box, and I'm pleased to report it fits my 8-inch wrist to perfection without any sizing. As you'll know from my previous reviews, I like to size my bracelets loose so I can fit an index finger underneath the bracelet and clasp at all times. This is the correct sizing method because it allows for wrist expansion in warm weather or when one is active, so fits my wrist very well. Now, the proportions of this piece are perfection personified. 40mm head of the piece perfectly balances the 20mm lug width, and as you can see, the taper on the bracelet is also done to perfection. 20mm tapering down to 16 is the correct proportions. You'll know from my previous reviews, I consider 48mm to be the sweet spot for lug to lug measurement. This is the perfect proportion piece. 40mm by 48 means that regardless of whether you have a 6 to 7 inch wrist or a 7 to 8 inch wrist respectively, you'll find this to be incredibly well balanced, very well proportioned, comfortable to wear for long periods of time, such as 8 to 12 hours per day. And it feels so well balanced, it feels actually weightless on the wrist, despite being 147 grams of heft with all the links in the oyster style bracelet. And it's a sign of a very well balanced piece when they get the proportions and the dimensions correct. It does feel very well balanced, and I really like the 20 to 16mm taper. Just feels so comfortable. It's a very low profile piece, only 12mm, and that's the benefit of using a mecha quartz such as the Seiko VK63. This is significantly thinner than using an automatic or mechanical piece, which is manual wind, and I really like that aspect. The 12mm is easily going to slip underneath a shirt cuff if you wear business shirts. Very good looking piece. I like the matte white dial, and I like the contrast of the black anodized hands and also the black hands on the subdials. The legibility of this is definitely superior to the white dial version of the PD-1727, which I've previously reviewed, which has a black ceramic bezel, and I think that this is better. One can read the subdials and also read the hour and minute hands on this easier, despite the lack of the AR coating. Just absolutely gorgeous to wear. The feel good factor is outstanding. Comfort level is outstanding. Right, so let's do a lume test and we'll see how the lume performs when it's charged up to the absolute maximum. So as always, I'm going to use my 100 UV LED torch to charge it up to the absolute peak. Right, so that's now fully charged, and as you can see, the 1727 clearly uses C3 Luminova rather than C3 Superluminova. Now, it initially seems to be glowing bright enough, but because it's Luminova rather than Superluminova, it will begin to fade and fade fast. But on a positive note, they've got the colour tone match between the applied indices and the baton hands correct. The green tone matches on the dial and the hands, which is good. Now, it looks like 5 to 6 layers of Luminova have been applied to the indices, which is good, and I would describe the performance as equal to the 1664 and also the 1644, which are also Daytona Homages. But however, there is room for improvement. I would like to see Pagani Design upgrade the quality of the lume they use to BGW9 Superluminova or alternatively C3 Superluminova, because that would really enhance the piece, and I'm sure it's something that many collectors would be willing to pay for. Even if the piece was an additional $5 or $10, it would be a worthwhile upgrade. So as you can see, it's continuing to glow for a reasonable length of time, although it's not as bright. The exciter in the Luminova isn't as bright as Superluminova. I would describe it as acceptable, although there is room for improvement. Right, so let's discuss the movement use, because it's one of my favourite aspects of the piece. You'll all be familiar with the Seiko VK63 Mecha Quartz. It's one of my personal favourites. It's a reliable, well-proven workhorse Mecha Quartz movement, accurate, the build quality, quality control and materials are all excellent. So the VK63 Mecha Quartz has a stated 2-year battery life, and the 2-year battery life is based upon you using the chronograph complication for 60 minutes per day. However, in reality, you're not going to be using the chronograph complication for anything like 60 minutes per day, so it's nothing unusual for a VK63 battery to last for 3 to 4 years. So that's something worth considering, because potentially you could purchase this piece and wear it for 3 to 4 years without needing to change the battery. So that's a real benefit of this being a Mecha Quartz. And the other advantage is, of course, you don't have to manually wind it because it's a Mecha Quartz, which is battery powered, and it's not an automatic, so you don't have to wear the piece for 8 to 12 hours per day to charge up a movement automatically. So I really like it. It's a no-nonsense piece, especially if you wear this as part of a collection, and you don't need to use a watch winder. You can simply pick up the piece and wear it without having to reset the time and the date constantly. So 2-year battery life, which in reality is 3 to 4, is very good. It has hacking, which is very good. You can stop the second hand dead on the 6 o'clock subdial to set the time precisely to the second. And as I've demonstrated, it also has a quick set date complication. The stated accuracy of the VK63 is plus or minus 20 seconds per month. Not per day, not per week, that is per month. Better than plus or minus 1 second per day. So outstanding accuracy, plus or minus 20 seconds per month is incredibly accurate. So it's reliable, it's well proven, good solid movement, and the accuracy is outstanding. Plus or minus 20 seconds per month is excellent. So I really like it. It's the correct choice of movement for this piece, the VK63, and as I've stated, one of my personal favourites. Incredibly reliable. I would describe the movement as being indestructible. So lastly, I'll summarise the piece. What do I think of it overall? Well, when I'm considering reviewing a watch on my channel, the watch should meet 2 criteria. It should be both excellent quality and excellent value at the respective price point. So $100 is the price point. Really, to evaluate this piece, one needs to consider the finishing and the quality control throughout. The finishing to the mirror polishing on the bezel, the flanks of the case, the tops of the lugs, and also the screw down case back are all outstanding. This is better quality finishing than on the 1664 and also the 1644, which are also Daytona Homages. Now, the negatives are the lack of AL coating, the weak Lume Test, and there is some play in the bracelet, as one would expect. In the screw pins we do have some play, but it is acceptable. The end links are a good tight fit to the case. Mirror polishing to the centre section of the oyster style bracelet is flawless, and the brush satin finishing is also flawless. No sharp edges, no burrs, and the flanks are mirror polished to a very high standard. I like the use of screw pins rather than push pins. So very well executed. Now the clasp is also very well done, and it also has a 5mm EasyLink style extension, which I'll deploy and show you. As you can see, works very well. Nice positive click, and it snaps into the body with a nice positive click and also deploys with a nice positive click. So they've got this correct. Now on other Pagani design watches, they use abhorrent pressed stainless steel divers extension links. I prefer this solid milled EasyLink style extension, which provides 5mm of on-the-fly adjustment, better quality. On some Pagani design watches, this is very stiff, but this one actually has a nice positive click, but it deploys very easily. So they've got it correct, just the right amount of friction. And I really like the positive click, it feels very good. So again, this is done better than on the 1644, and I really like it. So I think that they have improved the quality control and the build quality of the clasps that they're using on the 1727. Flawless mirror polishing and flawless brush satin finishing to the interior. So the clasp is very well done, nice positive click, nice positive secondary click to the flip lock, so well executed throughout. So build quality good, quality control good, materials good, finishing good, screw down crown, screw down pushers well executed. Really the only negatives to this piece are the lack of AL coating, the weak Lume Test, and of course we've got the error dial with the 0 in chronograph rather than O. However, one can overlook that because it's not really noticeable. So yes, I consider it to be excellent quality, and yes, I consider it to be excellent value at $100 US. I'm going to declare this a champagne watch for lemonade money. I like this watch so much, in fact, I've decided to add it to my own personal collection, and that really is the highest compliment I can pay a watch. I've reviewed over 200 watches on my channel, and this is one of the best Pagani design watches ever made. So I highly recommend the PD-1727 V2 to you for your consideration. Hope you've enjoyed my review. Please feel free to post your own comments below the review. Thank you very much.